The Squire is in a really good place right now as of episode 1. He's a great boss killer and he's really effective as a tank. There's lots to consider with setting him up and there's more than one way to play him. I'm going to go through everything that I think is best in slot or good stuff to look out for on weapons, weapon sets, accessories, bonuses, all that stuff. I think what really dug the Squire out of the grave and made him really worth playing again as of episode 1 is the fact that we can get fused pets, and in particular, the best in slot right now at least is a fused Monkey King. You can get a fused Monkey King from completing the Endless Spires on Rifted Survival. There's 3 variables that matter in list of importance. They are his attack rate, his stat rolls, and his max upgrades. The fastest attack rate is 0.33 seconds, and this is the very most important thing. You could go with one that has 0.4, but the jump from 0.33 to 0.4 is pretty substantial. Here's the one that I was using for the longest time. It's 353 max upgrades and a 0.4 seconds attack rate. The DPS, as you can see, 709.5 thousand. Now, if you take a look at the one I'm currently using, it's 0.33, 347 max upgrades. It's actually less max upgrades, so less damage, but the DPS is significantly higher at 845.2k. That's a pretty substantial difference, well over 100k more DPS just from having 0.33 attack rate. Ideally, you would also look for one with vitality, attack, and ability, since they're all very useful. Obviously, you want to stack vitality on a Squire. He's a tank. More HP is going to be better, but attack and ability will affect your DPS. Attack is the more important stat as it scales directly with your sword damage and the Monkey King's damage, and ability scales way worse anyway, and it only affects the damage that's given to the Monkey King via your Blood Boil ability. It's not the end of the world if you're missing a stat roll. Personally, I'd rather see ability missing than attack. Finally, the higher the max upgrades, the better, because that'll lead to more damage. So you need to make the most of what you get. It's completely RNG. It's not likely to find one with 0.33 attack rate and all 3 stats and a really high max upgrade. For the longest time, I used this one here with 0.4 attack rate, 353 max ups with all 3 tower stats. It was good enough to fight the boss and fight bosses in general. It was good enough for the keep. It was good enough for the goblin mech. So if this is the best you get, 0.4, just roll with it. It's not gonna be worth going nuts farming. That said, if you really want to min-max, you should look for one that looks like this with 0.33 attack rate and all 3 hero stats with as much max upgrades as possible. To really deal big damage with the Monkey King, you'll want to activate your hero boost, which is called Blood Boil. Here I'm hitting for 12.34 million damage per hit. When I activate my Blood Boil, that jumps way up to 33 million. This is the most important thing. Being able to activate Blood Boil while your Monkey King is attacking is going to get you way more DPS. That said, Blood Boil in a game is going to consume MP. So what you want to look for to counteract that MP consumption is plus MP regen on your accessories. Your Blood Boil takes 10 MP per second here at strain cost. So you can fully counter that if you get a total of plus 10 MP regen, but even plus 4 or 5 is going to be enough to counteract some of that drain and elongate your hero boost quite substantially to the point where you can probably get through a whole boss fight without running out with just plus 4 or 5 MP regen. Without a doubt though, plus MP regen is going to be a top tier pick for bonus rolls on your accessories. You'll want to stack that as much as possible. I would say otherwise, it's best to look for things that are going to increase your quality of life. HP regen is also really great for counteracting damage. Having your HP tick back when you're fighting bosses, along with the help of a healing aura, you can pretty much face tank anything with 4 or 5% HP regen. And I personally like move speed as well. I think this particular King's Face is the perfect piece for a DPS Squire. There are 4 possible weapon set types for melee weapons for swords. The best, I think, is going to be Ethereal Champion, which will increase your damage, crit bonus, and attributes of all equipped set pieces that I am assuming to mean your main hand and your shield by 30%. That's a huge jump in stats. That's going to provide you with the biggest increase in stats overall and the best sustained damage. Spinning Steel is going to be the top tier weapon set for burst damage. Circular Slice unleashes 4 piercing slashes, dealing 100% additional damage to all enemies in a line. Your Circular Slice damage is dependent on the damage number, where it says 260.5k fusion instead of the DPS number. So you need that damage number to be bigger rather than DPS. I'll demonstrate here. I've got a Smasher, a Wolfsbane Smasher, which is a slow swinging weapon, but it hits harder per hit. So I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna hero boost, what you would want to do for your circular slice. Boom, I'm gonna hit this dummy. It's 266 million DPS that it's registering on the dummy. Now I'm gonna switch over to a Claymore. You'll see that this is not quite as effective, and the main reason is that this Claymore attacks faster and it'll have higher DPS. Here I've got one that's a very similar max upgrade to my Smasher here, 361 versus 364. But because this has 106.2 fusion damage versus 260, you'll see that it's not nearly the 260 something million DPS registered on the dummy. It's 110. And the blades, each individual hit is far lower, 21.94 million there on the Claymore versus 53 million per hit on the Smasher. So you'll definitely want a Smasher if you're looking to build for Spinning Steel. Circular Slice does consume 65 mana per use, so this would be another reason to stack plus MP regen. If you get to that 10, your hero boost is free, but then you only have so many circular slices before you do still run out of mana. If you don't have the MP regen to handle spamming your circular slice with Spinning Steel, you're gonna sacrifice duration on your hero boost, which is gonna make your DPS drop off really hard, as well as your armor. When you're hero boosted, you get lots of armor so you can face tank better. I think it's far better to use that mana for your hero boost and having that up for as long as possible, rather than spending it on spins to do some burst damage with Spinning Steel. That said, if you're capped out on MP regen, have at it, especially if you have a big crazy weapon with Spinning Steel on it. Inspired Assault is the most common usable weapon set for a Squire. It's got an increase for your damage of 20%. Finally, we've got Marked for Death, which is specific to the Rogue, as it's for a Rogue's ability only. So in a perfect world, you would get your best weapon and offhand with Ethereal Champion, as it would yield the most stats. That said, there's no guarantee that you're gonna get your best stuff with that weapon set. So complete a set at the very least. Even if it's Inspired Assault, make sure you complete a set. Look for that Spinning Steel if you want to mess around with some big spin damage, but just know that you're going to need the MP regen to supplement that. I know I implied this already, but the best weapons for the Squire currently are both from the Keep, the Wolfsbane Claymore or the Wolfsbane Smasher. Open the chest with a Squire and you've got a 50-50 chance of getting one or the other. If you're not up to the Keep yet, you can use a Protean Slicer from the Throne Room. That said, even a good campaign quality Claymore or Smasher is gonna out DPS even the best Protean Slicer. Every fused boss weapon is gonna come with 2 bonuses, one of which will always be chance to irradiate. Your primary attacks have a chance to irradiate enemies for 2 or 3 seconds, dealing somewhere between 2 or 3% HP damage every second. The effect is reduced on bosses, but it is still substantial. The highest percent chance to irradiate that I've personally seen is 9.97. I'm assuming it caps out at 10%. For the second bonus, I do think Sunder Armor is best in slot. Unfortunately, it's rare. These purple bonuses appear to be the rare bonuses, and the blue ones I assume are uncommon, and the green ones are common, so you may not see Sunder Armor much. Your primary attacks reduce all enemy armor for some number of seconds, and I'm assuming it always stacks 3 times. This one in particular stacks 8.05% for 3 times, so a total of 24%, and it's straight up a 24% damage increase. With Sunder Armor, when you attack an enemy, a little shield icon will appear on that enemy. That indicates that their armor is sundered. If an enemy is under the effect of Sunder Armor, it takes increased damage from all sources, including defenses and pets. Here I've got my pet dealing 12.34 damage. If I apply the Sunder to this dummy here, now it's dealing 15.32. Likewise, I have a Wisp dealing 1.134 million damage per attack. If I apply Sunder Armor to the dummy, I can see that now the Wisp is dealing 1.408 million damage. So I'm sure it's pretty obvious why this would be best in slot. It'll increase damage taken from all sources, your weapon, co-op other players' weapons, defenses, pet damage, everything. If you have Sunder Armor on a boss, it's gonna make a big difference. That said, Sunder Armor is rare. It may be a while before you see it. There are other bonuses that are worth using. If it's possible to drop on a sword, flat +% damage would be a great one. I haven't seen it on a sword yet, but I do have it on this bow. Another one to consider would be plus chance boost damage, which is just a percent chance to boost your damage by a certain percentage for a number of seconds. Again, I've only seen this one on a bow, but it might show up on every primary weapon, every weapon that can drop, every boss weapon. Chance to boost attack rate and boost attack rate are other good ones. I have seen those on swords before. Those would be good. Attack rate is going to help you apply your irradiate more often. Flat attack rate or chance to boost attack rate would also be good picks. Aftershock is an interesting one that is kind of like a weak sort of irradiate. It's a chance to apply Aftershock, which deals 900+% damage. I've got 994% additional damage over 3 seconds. It's a lower chance to proc and it is weaker, but it is similar to irradiate. It's another dot effect. You could look for that. Plus attack, just straight up as the stat, is a possibility on weapons too. That's going to help you deal more damage. If +% HP drain is a possibility, that would be great. I've not seen it on a sword, but I have seen HP drain on a bow before, so if that could drop, that would be another option too. There's a lot of viable options for bonuses. Plus chance to boost armor is another one that can drop. That would make you more tanky. And I've also seen strength, +% strength drain. Your primary attacks reduce enemy damage. It would debuff the boss and make the fight a little safer and effectively make you more of a tank. Lots of other bonuses to consider here, so don't worry about it if you don't find Sunder Armor right away or ever. It's not the end of the world. It does seem like it's best in slot, but there are a lot of other good bonuses. Shields are much simpler. There's a way smaller pool of possible bonuses for them. Some really good ones to look out for, you'll probably see them a lot, are damage, just flat damage, flat attack rate, and chance to boost attack rate. Those three are probably the best. I think chance to boost attack rate is the better choice over the flat boost attack rate percentage, simply because the percentage bonus is higher. Even though it's temporary, once you trigger it, it seems like you can just maintain it forever. It never falls off. I guess it's just being refreshed constantly before it runs out anyway. There's another one that you'll see a lot on shields. It is chance to MP drain, and I don't think this has a high enough proc chance or enough of an MP return to be useful. The highest I've ever seen is 5 MP, but the highest chance I've ever seen is less than 5%. It's just not reliable enough to actually give you substantial MP back. In fact, I usually don't even notice it when I use it. Also, once you find good plus MP regen accessories, this becomes less useful because you'll have less issues managing your MP. So overall, I think these are the two bonuses to go for on your offhand: +% damage and +% chance boost attack rate. So the theoretical god tier weapon and set would be a sword with chance to irradiate and Sunder Armor that is a Therian champion with a matching offhand for the set that has +% damage and +% chance to boost attack rate. Good luck finding all that with good max upgrades and stat rolls too. You want all 3 stat rolls for each of these, and it's not guaranteed. As you can see here, I'm using Inspired Assault with a 334 sword. This stuff is an RNG fest. It'll take weeks, if not months, to farm out the best possible stuff. So just make the best of what you have, but those are the things to look out for. The armor is pretty simple. Any fused armor set will do, with the Arcanist helmet being best in slot simply because it's got 10% rift armor instead of 5% that you would typically see on other helmets. For what it's worth, an Arcanist helmet gives you fused spike blockades, which are a good panic wall to drop if something goes sideways. They're only 3DU, they have good HP scaling with Fortify, a lot better than other walls, and they have 30% rift armor when they're fused, so they can come in handy in a pinch. My Squire happens to be in fused guard armor, which does give me fused harpoons. I don't really have him statted to make use of those harpoons. The more interesting thing with the armor is that you can get bonuses like these, plus % def damage upgrade. This is a cool bonus because what you can do is upgrade a defense. Say you're gonna upgrade an electric aura right before you're going into a wave. You can upgrade that defense and it'll get a bonus. You can see there's a bit of a glow around it, and you get, actually, for this particular piece, it is plus 54% defense damage for 28 seconds after being upgraded. That is pretty substantial. That's a kind of a long time to go into a wave with a 54% damage increase. So let's say you have, you've got a stack of wisps down and you're gonna start a wave. You can just spam upgrades on them and then G the wave. Now they all have plus 54% damage. This could help you get through some tough builds or some tough waves when you're playing through, say, survival or something. It can actually be a big help to your build. I've also got on this guy plus defense damage repair. This is much more handy for something like an electric aura that is going to be taking damage and can be repaired almost instantly every time. So anytime I'm running by my auras, I can just go and drop a repair. If they run out of HP, they don't. In the tavern, they don't. But on the field, they would start slowly ticking down their HP. You can run by, boom, drop a repair, and now they're going to be dealing, in this case, 38.76% more damage for 19.6 seconds. So I can get a lot more out of things like auras and traps pretty conveniently by having this bonus on my armor. This bonus is kind of a throwaway on builders, but for an active hero, it can actually be pretty handy. That's all I've got for now on the Squire. Have fun ripping up some bosses with your shiny new Monkey King, Irradiate, crazy weapons. Hope you get some good RNG on those weapons and offhands and stuff, especially the accessories. Took me a while to get some MP regen. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, pro strats, anything I missed, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching.